And now let's welcome our first presenter from Australia, and that is Professor Avni Sali, Order of Australia recipient. But because Professor Sali cannot be here with us in person, we have prepared a pre-recorded video with his presentation, and that presentation carries a title, Longevity and Integrative Approach. I will ask the studio for the video now, please.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ian Brighto. I would like to thank you for inviting me to speak today on behalf of Professor Avni Sali, who sends his apologies for not being with you. It is a great honour for me to speak on his behalf, and I feel entirely humbled. Today I'm going to talk about a very important subject to all of us. It is longevity. The subject of longevity, to some, is all about anti-aging. But to me, it is about staying as healthy as one possibly can, for as long as one possibly can, and provide an environment, an external and internal environment, in which our genes can express themselves optimally and we can live a long and healthy life. So that's what this talk is about today, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. But before I start, I would like to send a special hello to my good friend, Dr. Ludziek Mrazek. I spent quite some time with Dr. Ludziek in Melbourne, Australia, years ago, and he has a remarkable mind and he is a remarkable person. I'm going to talk about longevity and integrative approach. But before I do, Professor Avni Sali is the founder and director of the National Institute of Integrative Medicine here in Melbourne, Australia. The National Institute of Integrative Medicine consists of clinics, education facilities and research. These are the three major pillars of the National Institute of Integrative Medicine. The clinic consists of clinicians who provide services and treatments, an integrative health check, and it has dispensaries. There are many research projects being conducted at NIM. Here is a picture of Professor Karen Reid, who is the chief researcher, and Professor Avni Sali, the injection room and the lecture theatre. The definition of integrative medicine is it's all about evidence-based medicine, including the complementary medicines and the alternative medicines that have profound scientific basis. The major interest is on the cause of disease, and the patient is the active participant in getting better and improving his or her health. Making the patient as healthy as possible is an imperative. Life expectancy in Australia in 2021 was for females 85.4 years and for males 81.3 years. In the Czech Republic in 2022, the life expectancy for females was 82.01 years and for males 76.15 years. And let me just add, you have one of the most beautiful cities in the world. There are problems with conventional medicine, and Professor Peter Goetsche has clearly, in a number of books, he has shown how organised crime has infiltrated the medical profession and healthcare, and the organised crime, of course, being in Big Pharma. How can we survive in an over-medicated world? How can we make people healthy when you go to the doctor and you are prescribed drugs, pharmaceuticals, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and surgery, when sometimes lifestyle changes can be far more effective? And also psychiatry, the use of drugs, shock treatment, when essentially deficient in nutrients or is exposed to toxins and poisons in the environment. How can psychiatric patients get better? They are chemically immobilized with antidepressants, tranquilizers, and other psychiatric drugs. Healthy aging. Basically, the key principles of healthy aging are the maintenance of social connections and the prevention of loneliness, the reduction of life stresses, being able to unload, being able to relax. The prevention of cognitive decline is increasingly important as we age. Exposure to adequate levels of sunlight is critical for well-being and the production of vitamin D. Adequate sleep and good quality sleep is essential at least 7 hours sleep a night and waking refreshed in the morning. Regular exercise is absolutely critical. Exercise that is suitable for the age and fitness of the individual. Healthy food, including preferably organic food, but especially unprocessed food, whole foods and fresh foods. A healthy environment, the avoidance of chemicals and toxins in the environment, the avoidance of electromagnetic radiation, and also an environment in which people are happy and have very strong social connections. And of course, as we get older, our food may not supply everything that we need, so supplementation is absolutely critical for some people, especially those with comorbidities. The social human connection is essential to our health, well-being and longevity. Loneliness can increase the risk of premature death to levels comparable to smoking daily. Happy, healthy aging with family and friends. This is important for the future of our social well-being. With regard to loneliness and isolation, a third of the population is affected in developed countries, and this rate is increasing. It has been identified as bad as smoking and greater than obesity. Loneliness is linked to heart disease, cancer, depression, diabetes, suicide, and other comorbidities. There is a 26% increase in the risk of premature mortality in an isolated and lonely population. In Australia, men tend to report higher levels of loneliness than females. Men living alone have higher levels of loneliness than females living by themselves. Women tend to be more socially connected and they come together more. It has been stated 3 close friends can add 7 years to a male's life. Analyses of over 3.5 million participants has shown that greater social connection halves the risk of dying prematurely, and the risk of dying prematurely is greater than other risk factors in the presence of loneliness. These other risk factors including obesity and smoking. Even politicians realise the importance of loneliness. Theresa May, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, appointed a Minister for Loneliness. The Surgeon General of the United States has stated that there is an urgent health issue of our times, and that is loneliness and isolation, and that they represent profound threats to our health and well-being. The key points with regard to the US report are that humans need social connection, but we've become more isolated over time. That social connection significantly improves the health and well-being of all individuals in society, and that social connection is vital to the community's health and success of the community, and that together we can advance social connection and improve our nation's public health and public health systems. The facts are, living in isolation reduces our chance of survival, and socialisation increases the risk for premature mortality by 29%. Poor social relationships, social isolation and loneliness can increase your risk of heart disease by 29% and the risk of stroke by 32%. Something must be done about socialisation and social relationships. Smaller social network sizes are associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes and of other diabetic complications, including heart attacks and kidney disease. Amongst older adults, chronic loneliness and socialisation can increase the risk of developing dementia by approximately 50%, possibly due to lack of intellectual stimulation and also physical inactivity. Get together with some friends, have a coffee, have some laughs. Let's have a look at the blue zones where longevity exists. Loma Linda in the USA, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Ikaria in Greece, and Okinawa in Japan. The blue zones began as a National Geographic expedition led by Dan Buettner to uncover the secrets of longevity. it evolved into the discovery of the 5 places around the world where people consistently live over 100 years old, called the blue zones. In the blue zones, more people live to 100 years old and beyond. They remain active in their 80s and 90s and beyond. They don't typically suffer from the common degenerative diseases found in other parts of the industrialised world, such as heart disease, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, obesity, stroke. In the blue zones, the common key factors, their loved ones come first. They make family a priority. They invest in their children, so they may reciprocate your love and care later in life. These people have a purpose in life. They belong to spiritual and other community groups. They move, they do physical activity daily. They sleep and regularly take naps. They eat more plant food, more beans, vegetables, fruits and whole grains. Meat is consumed in very small amounts, if at all. They drink 1 to 2 glasses of red wine daily with meals and or friends. And they know how to de-stress. They build stress-relieving rituals into their daily routines. Meditation assists the prevention of disease and can help in the treatment of disease. It's important in stress reduction. It helps with sleep disturbances. It may also help with addictions. It certainly is important in eating disorders and may improve memory. It relieves muscle tension and can help with muscle tension pain and other pains, and certainly helps with fatigue and many, many other issues. People who meditate tend to perform better at work, in creativity and other tasks. General stress reduction. Get together with friends, have a game of cards, play billiards, do something together. The prevention of cognitive decline is also important in healthy aging. With regard to cognition and alcohol, a US study showed quite clearly that less than 8 drinks a week for women and less than 15 drinks a week for men tended to result in better performance on cognitive tests over time. We're here talking about regular moderate drinkers. With regard to cognition and alcohol, a US study showed quite clearly that less than 8 drinks a week for women and less than 15 drinks a week for men tended to result in better performance on cognitive tests over time. We're here talking about regular moderate drinkers. The Framingham Heart Study showed quite clearly that consuming more omega-3 essential fatty acids is associated with better cognition. Photobiomodulation with near-infrared radiation has been shown to enhance memory processing in older adults with mild cognitive impairment. At NIM, we have an integrative health check program, and it's provided by a dedicated multidisciplinary team consisting of medical practitioners, osteopaths, natural therapists or naturopaths, psychologists, and health coaches. The health check reveals suboptimal levels in a number of vital biomarkers. This has been published in Advances in Integrative Medicine in December 2015. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy has been shown to increase telomere length and decreases immunosenescence in isolated blood cells. Interestingly, hyperbaric oxygen therapy increases telomere length and decreases immunosenescence in isolated blood cells. Concentrations of vitamin C are higher in brain than the rest of the body. This is important in cognition. A NIM study done in Melbourne of 80 adults, 24 to 96-year-old. The higher the vitamin C level, the better the cognition. Surgery has been shown to reduce plasma or serum vitamin C concentrations. With healthy aging, we require adequate sunlight. Why? Humans are similar to outdoor plants. We cannot survive without sunshine, according to Professor Avni Sali, and I have to agree with him. Sunshine is important for the production of vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is a global health problem. There are over 308 studies with over 7.9 million participants. A high prevalence of vitamin D deficiency increases the global burden of disease. What are the vital functions of vitamin D in the system? The vital functions are for the immune system, the respiratory system, the nervous system, the musculoskeletal system, the cardiovascular system. Vitamin D is vital for metabolism, behavior, gut health, dental health. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin for bone health. In aged care, an Australian study was done where vitamin D levels in residential aged care were measured. There are 137 residents as participants. They were given 100,000 international units orally every 3 months. The results were a baseline of people, 95% had low vitamin D levels. After 6 months of treatment, their vitamin D levels returned to normal. Just to mention here that 100,000 international units orally every 3 months is a bolus dose. It's far better to give the vitamin D daily, as one would receive their vitamin D daily from exposure to the sun on a daily basis. The NIM International Alliance study studied the role of vitamin D in COVID-19. It was an Australian study performed in Turkey. It was a multi-centre randomised study in which 237 hospitalised COVID-19 patients had their vitamin D levels measured. The results were 97% of the patients were vitamin D deficient, 55% of the patients were severely deficient, that is, less than 50 nanomoles per litre, and 3% were insufficient with less than 75 nanomoles per litre. None had optimal vitamin D levels. Vitamin D plays an essential role in protecting against acute respiratory viral infections, not only COVID, but coronaviruses and influenza viruses as well. Sleep and healthy aging. The NIM Cannabis Sleep Study aimed to assess the tolerability and effectiveness of a THC, CBD, 10 to 15 medicinal cannabis oil on sleep in adults with insomnia. For those of you who are not familiar with medicinal cannabis and the ingredients, THC is tetrahydrocannabinol and CBD is cannabidiol. THC is the compound that causes active effects, whereas CBD are not so psychoactive. It was a randomised, crossover, double-blind, placebo-controlled study of 6 weeks duration and 29 participants. The results of the study showed quite clearly that 60% of people in the study were no longer insomniacs. 30% had increased melatonin levels and 80% had an improvement in their quality of life. A UCLA study of 126 males and females between the ages of 60 and 88 were assessed for insomnia. Their telomere lengths in the peripheral blood mononuclear cells were measured. The results were insomnia actually speeds up the aging process. It's associated with a shorter telomere length in men and women over 70 years old, and those diagnosed with insomnia had significantly shorter telomeres than good sleepers of the same age. Sleep is important for longevity. Healthy aging and regular exercise. The benefits of regular exercise are well known. Regular exercise is important for normal weight, the maintenance of good moods, the reduction of stress hormones, the strength of bone and muscle development. Regular exercise improves blood circulation. It improves the function of the central nervous system and the immune system. A daily walk lowers the risk of developing cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It improves mood. A daily walk helps regulate weight, increases fitness and flexibility, and as a bonus, you are exposed to natural light, which helps to improve sleep and maintain your vitamin D levels. There's a study of exercise and daily steps. It was a meta-analysis. There are 15 studies and 50,000 people were involved from 4 continents. They measured the risk of premature death. Results of the Daily Steps study showed that those aged 60 or more who did 6,000 to 8,000 steps per day gained benefit for longevity. Those aged younger than 60 required 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day to reduce the risk of premature death. Standing on one leg is not that easy when you get older. Balance diminishes after the mid-50s, increasing the risk for falls. Those who were unable to stand on one leg for 10 seconds daily had an 84% heightened risk of death from any cause. Resistance exercises. healthy aging and healthy food. Fresh, unprocessed, preferably organic. Not contaminated with chemicals, preservatives, colourings, flavourings, but the way nature provided it. A high fibre intake is associated with lower mortality. High fibre foods include the chickpeas, lentils, beans, whole grain cereals, almonds, oats, chia seeds, vegetables of all sorts, fruits of all sorts. These are high fibre foods. It's been shown that primary school children don't consume enough fibre in their diet. The consumption of a handful of mixed nuts every day has been shown to reduce the likelihood by 20% of dying from any cause over 30 years. Nice night out in a restaurant. We don't eat eggs, meat, fish, dairy or gluten. What would you recommend? A taxi. A UK report has shown that obesity shortens life by 13 years. Smoking shortens life by 10 years. With respect to Alzheimer's disease, it's been shown that oleocanthal present in extra virgin olive oil can protect against Alzheimer's disease. Figs, another interesting fruit. Figs contain 27 phytochemicals, antioxidants, catechins, ellagic acid, luteolin, quercetin, cyanidin. Blueberries are important for cognition. Blueberries are a superfood. Wild blueberries may be of a higher nutrient content. Studies have shown that blueberries can prevent and mitigate age-related cognitive disorders. Higher intakes are found to reduce the rate of cognitive decline. Cocoa, a Melbourne study, showed that improved mental fatigue and cognition. The actions of cocoa, dark chocolate, are anti-aging, antidepressant, aids cognition, normalizes blood stickiness, reduces cholesterol, stimulates the appetite, influences the expression of cancer cells, influences glucose levels, is a cough suppressant, and has anti-tooth decay properties. The estimated number of organisms present in the gut microbiome is between 50 and 100 trillion. The number of cells in the human is 1/10 to 1/3 of that of the microbiome. Foods that encourage the microbiome. Probiotics include yogurt, fermented foods, and there are supplements that are available to help with the gut microbiome. Many cultures have their own versions of fermented foods. The top brain foods include fish, and the oily fish and fish oils, blueberries. The top longevity foods. There's a whole list of these foods here, and we've discussed some of them during the lecture. This is another herb. It's called tobacco. She's doing pretty well. A healthy environment is also critical for healthy aging. Many of us live in a polluted environment. Polluted air, water, seas, chemicals, radiation, electromagnetic radiation, and these exposures create reactive oxygen species, reactive nitrogen species, and oxidation of our cells and tissues. A clean air, nice green environment, going for a walk in the sunshine is the ideal way to start the day, to end the day, or be a part of the day. Healthy aging requires supplementation. The supplements are important in blocking the harmful effects of reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, and therefore reducing the oxidation of our cells and tissues. Multivitamins are important in cognitive and cardiovascular function. Melbourne study showed that fish oil decreased blood pressure, and multivitamins and fish oil actually improved memory. High-potency B vitamins are very important in the anti-aging programs. In the VitaCog trial, at Oxford University, it was shown that brain atrophy could be slowed by the homocysteine-lowering B vitamins B6, B12, and folic acid. In a study of magnesium in the brain, it was shown that the consumption of more than 550 milligrams of magnesium per day produced less age-related brain shrinkage, and a higher dietary magnesium intake produced better brain health in the general population, particularly in women. We know that mitochondria are important in the generation of energy for cells. This energy is stored as ATP. It's involved in calcium metabolism. Mitochondria are important in immunity, programmed cell death, and stem cell regulation. Oxidative damage to the mitochondria is at the root of aging itself. The greater the oxidative damage to mitochondria, the shorter the lifespan. It's unknown if mitochondria burn energy more cleanly and efficiently. This would decelerate the aging process. It would mean a longer and healthier life. It's interesting to note that cardiac muscle cells contain approximately 600 mitochondria per cell, whereas in the neuronal cells, there are 2 million mitochondria within the nerve cells. It's also believed that coenzyme Q10 may improve mitochondrial function. Lifestyle changes and a wide range of nutrients are essential for healthy mitochondrial function. These include the B vitamins, carnitine, creatine, curcumin, coenzyme Q10, ginkgo biloba, magnesium, the omega-3 fatty acids, and quinone, which is found in plant foods. The nutrients that are very important for healthy mitochondrial function are resveratrol, thiamine, vitamin B1, niacinamide, vitamin B3, and N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. Importantly, exercise, as well as calorie restriction and intermittent fasting, including ketogenic diets, play a role in mitochondrial function. One must also avoid pollution and cigarette smoke and other toxins. Enzymes, or cytoprotective enzymes, are contained in broccoli sprouts and melon. Broccoli sprouts contain a high source of sulforaphane, NRF2, and glycidin. NRF2 is the master switch for activating mitochondria and energy production. It's important in detoxification, the resolution of inflammation, and the normalization of the microbiome. Glycidin is a product that contains a cantaloupe extract, which contains high quantities of the enzyme superoxide dismutase, and gliadin, a wheat protein designed to protect SOD during the digestive processes. A book worth reading is titled Lifespan by Dr. David Sinclair, who's Professor of Genetics at Harvard Medical School and an Australian biologist and academic well known for his research on aging and epigenetics. The longevity supplements that Dr. David Sinclair recommends include nicotinamide mononucleotide, or NMN, resveratrol, metformin, vitamin D3 and vitamin K2, quercetin and fezitin, spermidine, low-dose aspirin, a mixture of greens called athletic greens with over 75 ingredients, and TMG, or trimethylglycine. Here's Professor Sali with his assistant Anna Noto Berardino. Two books by Professor Sali and his colleagues, A Guide to Evidence-Based Integrative and Complementary Medicine, and A Clinician's Guide to Integrative Oncology. From Professor Sali, words of wisdom: if I had to choose between what was right for the patient and what was right for the establishment, then I would always choose for the patient. And finally, his happy page: sunlight, which produces serotonin and vitamin D, exercise, daily intake of fish, some dark chocolate or cocoa, adequate sleep, and unloading. The happy page. Please join him as a subscriber at www.nimim.com.au. Thank you for your attention and enjoy the conference.
That was Professor Sali, whom we thank and wish he could be here with us in person today.